Chapter 1, Administration, 101.0, General 101.1. Title: This document shall be known as the Uniform Plumbing Code, may be cited as such, and will be referred to herein as this code. 100. 1.2 Scope. The provisions of this code shall apply to the erection, installation, alteration, repair, relocation, replacement, addition to, use, or maintenance of plumbing systems within this jurisdiction. 101.3 Purpose. This code is an ordinance providing minimum requirements and standards for the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare. 101.4 Unconstitutional. Where a section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase of this code is, for a reason, held to be unconstitutional, such decision shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of this code. The legislative body hereby declares that it would have passed this code and each section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase thereof, irrespective of the fact that one or more sections, subsections, sentences, clauses, and phrases are declared unconstitutional. 101.5 Validity. Where a provision of this code or the application thereof to a person or circumstance is held invalid, the remainder of the code or the application of such provision to other persons or circumstances shall not be affected thereby. 100. 2.0 Applicability. 100. 2.1 Conflicts between codes. Where the requirements within the jurisdiction of this plumbing code conflict with the requirements of the mechanical code, this code shall prevail. In instances where this code, applicable standards, or the manufacturer's installation instructions conflict, the more stringent provision shall prevail. Where there is a conflict between a general requirement and a specific requirement, the specific requirement shall prevail. 100. 2.2 Existing installations, plumbing systems lawfully in existence at the time of the adoption of this code shall be permitted to have their use, maintenance, or repair continued where the use, maintenance, or repair is in accordance with the original design and location, and no hazard to life, health, or property has been created by such plumbing system. 102.3 Maintenance. The plumbing and drainage system, both existing and new, of a premise under the authority having jurisdiction shall be maintained in a sanitary and safe operating condition. Devices or safeguards required by this code shall be maintained in accordance with the code edition under which installed. The owner or the owner's designated agent shall be responsible for maintenance of plumbing systems. To determine compliance with this subsection, the authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to cause a plumbing system to be re-inspected. 102.4 Additions, alterations, renovations, or repairs. Additions, alterations, renovations, or repairs shall conform to that required for a new system without requiring the existing plumbing system to be in accordance with the requirements of this code. Additions, alterations, renovations, or repairs shall not cause an existing system to become unsafe, insanitary, or overloaded. Additions, alterations, renovations, or repairs to existing plumbing installations shall comply with the provisions for new construction unless such deviations are found to be necessary and are first approved by the authority having jurisdiction. 100. 2.4.1 Building sewers and drains. Existing building sewers and building drains shall be permitted to be used in connection with new buildings or new plumbing and drainage work where they are found on examination and test to be in accordance with the requirements governing new work, and the proper authority having jurisdiction shall notify the owner to make changes necessary to be in accordance with this code. No building or part thereof shall be erected or placed over a part of a drainage system that is constructed of materials other than those approved elsewhere in this code for use under or within a building. 100. 2.4.2 Openings into a drainage or vent system, excepting those openings to which plumbing fixtures are properly connected or which constitute vent terminals, shall be permanently plugged or capped in an approved manner, using the appropriate materials in accordance with this code. 102.5 Health and Safety. Where compliance with the provisions of this code fails to eliminate or alleviate a nuisance or other dangerous or insanitary condition that involves health or safety hazards, the owner or the owner's agent shall install such additional plumbing and drainage facilities or shall make such repairs or alterations as ordered by the authority having jurisdiction. 102.6 Changes in building occupancy. Plumbing systems that are a part of a building or structure undergoing a change in use or occupancy, as defined in the building code, shall be in accordance with the requirements of this code that are applicable to the new use or occupancy. 102.7 Move structures. Parts of the plumbing system of a building or part thereof that is moved from one foundation to another or from one location to another shall be in accordance with the provisions of this code for new installations and completely tested as prescribed elsewhere in this section for new work, except that walls or floors need not be removed during such test, where other equivalent means of inspection acceptable to the authority having jurisdiction are provided. 100.2.8 Appendices. The provisions in the appendices are intended to supplement the requirements of this code and shall not be considered part of this code unless formally adopted as such. 103.0 Duties and powers of the authority. Having jurisdiction. 103.1. General. The authority having jurisdiction shall be the authority duly appointed to enforce this code. For such purposes, the authority having jurisdiction shall have the powers of a law enforcement officer. The authority having jurisdiction shall have the power to render interpretations of this code and to adopt and enforce rules and regulations supplemental to this code as deemed necessary in order to clarify the application of the provisions of this code. Such interpretations, rules, and regulations shall comply with the intent and purpose of this code, in accordance with the prescribed procedures and with the approval of the appointing authority. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to appoint a such number of technical officers, inspectors, and other employees as shall be authorized from time to time. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to deputize such inspectors or employees as necessary to carry out the functions of the code enforcement agency. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to request the assistance and cooperation of other officials of this jurisdiction so far as required in the discharge of the duties in accordance with this code or other pertinent law or ordinance. 103.2 Liability. The authority having jurisdiction charged with the enforcement of this code, acting in good faith and without malice in the discharge of the authority having jurisdiction's duties, shall not thereby be rendered personally liable for damage that accrues to persons or property as a result of an act or by reason of an act or omission in the discharge of duties. A suit brought against the authority having jurisdiction or employee because of such act or omission performed in the enforcement of provisions of this code shall be defended by legal counsel provided by this jurisdiction until final termination of such proceedings. 103.3 Applications and permits. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to require the submission of plans, specifications, drawings, and such other information in accordance with the authority having jurisdiction, prior to the commencement of, and at a time during the progress of, work regulated by this code. The issuance of a permit upon construction documents shall not prevent the authority having jurisdiction from thereafter requiring the correction of errors in said construction documents, or from preventing construction operations being carried on thereunder where in violation of this code or of other pertinent ordinance, or from revoking a certificate of approval where issued in error. 103.3.1. Licensing provision for licensing shall be determined by the authority having jurisdiction. 103.4 Right of entry. Where it is necessary to make an inspection to enforce the provisions of this code, or where the authority having jurisdiction has reasonable cause to believe that there exists in a building or upon premises a condition or violation of this code that makes the building or premises unsafe, insanitary, dangerous, or hazardous. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to enter the building or premises at reasonable times to inspect or to perform the duties imposed by the authority having jurisdiction by this code, provided that where such building or premises is occupied, the authority having jurisdiction shall present credentials to the occupant and request entry. Where such building or premises is unoccupied, the authority having jurisdiction shall first make a reasonable effort to locate the owner or other person having charge or control of the building or premises and request entry. Where entry is refused, the authority having jurisdiction has recourse to every remedy provided by law to secure entry. Where the authority having jurisdiction shall have first obtained an inspection warrant or other remedy provided by law to secure entry, no owner, occupant, or person having charge, care, or control of a building or premises shall fail or neglect, after a request is made as herein provided, to promptly permit entry herein by the authority having jurisdiction for the purpose of inspection and examination pursuant to this code. 104.0. Permits. 104.1 Permits required. It shall be unlawful for a person, firm, or corporation to make an installation, alteration, repair, replacement, or remodel a plumbing system regulated by this code except as permitted in Section 104.2, or to cause the same to be done without first obtaining a separate plumbing permit for each separate building or structure. 104.2 Exempt work. A permit shall not be required for the following: the stopping of leaks in drains, soil, waste, or vent pipe, provided, however, that a trap, drain pipe, soil, waste, or vent pipe become defective, and it becomes necessary to remove and replace the same with new material. The same shall be considered as new work, and a permit shall be procured and inspection made as provided in this code. The clearing of stoppages, including the removal and reinstallation of water closets, or the repairing of leaks in pipes, valves, or fixtures, provided such repairs do not involve or require the replacement or rearrangement of valves, pipes, or fixtures. Exemption from the permit requirements of this code shall not be deemed to grant authorization for work to be done in violation of the provisions of the code or other laws or ordinances of this jurisdiction. 100D 4.3 Application for permit. To obtain a permit, the applicant shall first file an application therefor in writing on a form furnished by the authority having jurisdiction for that purpose. Such application shall identify and describe the work to be covered by the permit for which application is made, describe the land upon which the proposed work is to be done by legal description, street address, or similar description that will readily identify and locate the proposed building or work, indicate the use or occupancy for which the proposed work is intended, be accompanied by construction documents in accordance with Section 104.3.1, be signed by the permittee or the permittee's authorized agent. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to require evidence to indicate such authority. Give such other data and information in accordance with the authority having jurisdiction. 104.3.1 Construction documents. Construction documents, engineering calculations, diagrams, and other data shall be submitted in 2 or more sets with each application for a permit. The construction documents, computations, and specifications shall be prepared by, and the plumbing designed by, a registered design professional. Construction documents shall be drawn to scale with clarity to identify that the intended work to be performed is in accordance with the code. Exception: the authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to waive the submission of construction documents, calculations, or other data where the authority having jurisdiction finds that the nature of the work applied for is such that reviewing of construction documents is not necessary to obtain compliance with the code. 100 DOR 4.3.2 Plan review fees. Where a plan or other data is required to be submitted in accordance with Section 104.3.1, a plan review fee shall be paid at the time of submitting construction documents for review. The plan review fees for plumbing work shall be determined and adopted by this jurisdiction. The plan review fees specified in this subsection are separate fees from the permit fees specified in Section 104.5. Where plans are incomplete or changed so as to require additional review, a fee shall be charged at the rate shown in Table 104.5. 104.3.3. Time limitation of applications for which no permit is issued within 180 days following the date of application shall expire by limitation. Plans and other data submitted for review thereafter shall be returned to the applicant or destroyed by the authority having jurisdiction. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to exceed the time for action by the applicant for a period not to exceed 180 days upon request by the applicant showing that circumstances beyond the control of the applicant have prevented the action from being taken. No application shall be extended more than once. In order to renew action on an application after expiration, the applicant shall resubmit plans and pay a new plan review fee. 104.4 Permit issuance. The application, construction documents, and other data filed by an applicant for a permit shall be reviewed by the authority having jurisdiction. Such plans shall be permitted to be reviewed by other departments of this jurisdiction to verify compliance with applicable laws under their jurisdiction. Where the authority having jurisdiction finds that the work described in an application for permit and the plans, specifications, and other data filed therewith are in accordance with the requirements of the Code and other pertinent laws and ordinances, and that the fees specified in Section 104.5 have been paid, the authority having jurisdiction shall issue a permit therefore to the applicant. 104.4.1 Approved plans or construction documents. Where the authority having jurisdiction issues the permit where plans are required, the authority having jurisdiction shall endorse in writing or stamp the construction documents approved. Such approved construction documents shall not be changed, modified, or altered without authorization from the authority having jurisdiction, and the work shall be done in accordance with approved plans. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to issue a permit for the construction of a part of a plumbing system before the entire construction documents for the whole system have been submitted or approved, provided adequate information and detailed statements have been filed in accordance with the pertinent requirements of this code. The holder of such permit shall be permitted to proceed at the holder's risk without assurance that the permit for the entire building, structure, or plumbing system will be granted. 104.4.2 Validity of permit. The issuance of a permit or approval of construction documents shall not be construed to be a permit for or an approval of a violation of the provisions of this code or other ordinance of the jurisdiction. No permit presuming to give authority to violate or cancel the provisions of this code shall be valid. The issuance of a permit based upon plans, specifications, or other data shall not prevent the authority having jurisdiction from thereafter requiring the correction of errors in said plans, specifications, and other data, or from preventing building operations being carried on thereunder, where in violation of this code or of other ordinances of this jurisdiction. 104.4.3 Expiration. A permit issued by the authority having jurisdiction under the provisions of this code shall expire by limitation and become null and void where the work authorized by such permit is not commenced within 180 days from the date of such permit, or where the work authorized by such permit is suspended or abandoned at a time after the work is commenced for a period of 180 days. Before such work is recommenced, a new permit shall first be obtained to do so, and the fee, therefore, shall be 1/2 the amount required for a new permit for such work, provided no changes have been made or will be made in the original construction documents for such work, and provided further that such suspensions or abandonment has not exceeded 1 year. 104.4.4 Extensions. A permittee holding an unexpired permit shall be permitted to apply for an extension of the time within which work shall be permitted to commence under that permit, where the permittee is unable to commence work within the time required by this section. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to extend the time for action by the permittee for a period not exceeding 180 days upon written request by the permittee showing that circumstances beyond the control of the permittee have prevented the action from being taken. No permit shall be extended more than once. In order to renew action on a permit after expiration, the permittee shall pay a new full permit fee. 104.4.5 Suspension or Revocation. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to, in writing, suspend or revoke a permit issued under the provisions of this code, where the permit is issued in error or on the basis of incorrect information supplied or in violation of other ordinance or regulation of the jurisdiction. 104.4.6 Retention of plans. One set of approved construction documents and computations shall be retained by the authority having jurisdiction until final approval of the work covered therein. One set of approved construction documents, computations, and manufacturer's installation instructions shall be returned to the applicant, and said set shall be kept on the site of the building or work at times during which the work authorized thereby is in progress. 104.5.1 Work commencing before permit issuance. Where work for which a permit is required by this code has been commenced without first obtaining said permit, a special investigation shall be made before a permit is issued for such work. 104.5.2 Investigation fees. An investigation fee, in addition to the permit fee, shall be collected whether a permit is then or subsequently issued. The investigation fee shall be equal to the amount of the permit fee that is required by this code if a permit were to be issued. The payment of such investigation fee shall not exempt a person from compliance with other provisions of this code, nor from a penalty prescribed by law. 104.5.3 Fee refunds. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to authorize the refunding of a fee as follows. The amount paid hereunder that was erroneously paid or collected. Refunding of not more than a percentage, as determined by this jurisdiction where no work has been done under a permit issued in accordance with this code. The authority having jurisdiction shall not authorize the refunding of a fee paid except upon written application filed by the original permittee not to exceed 180 days after the date of fee payment. 105.0 Inspections and testing. 105.1 General plumbing systems for which a permit is required by this code shall be inspected by the authority having jurisdiction. No plumbing system or portion thereof shall be covered, concealed, or put into use until inspected and approved as prescribed in this code. Neither the authority having jurisdiction nor the jurisdiction shall be liable for expense entailed in the removal or replacement of material required to permit inspection. Plumbing systems regulated by this code shall not be connected to the water, the energy fuel supply, or the sewer system until authorized by the authority having jurisdiction. 105.2 Required inspections. New plumbing work and such portions of existing systems as affected by new work or changes shall be inspected by the authority having jurisdiction to ensure compliance with the requirements of this code and to ensure that the installation and construction of the plumbing system are in accordance with approved plans. The authority having jurisdiction shall make the following inspections and other such inspections as necessary. The permittee or the permittee's authorized agent shall be responsible for the scheduling of such inspections as follows. The underground inspection shall be made after trenches or ditches are excavated and bedded, piping installed, and before backfill is put in place. Rough-in inspection shall be made prior to the installation of wall or ceiling membranes. Final inspection shall be made upon completion of the installation. 105.2.1 Uncovering. Where a drainage or plumbing system, building sewer, private sewage disposal system, or part thereof which is installed, altered, or repaired is covered or concealed before being inspected, tested, and approved, as prescribed in this code, it shall be uncovered for inspection after notice to uncover the work has been issued to the responsible person by the authority having jurisdiction. The requirements of this section shall not be considered to prohibit the operation of plumbing installed to replace existing equipment or fixtures serving an occupied portion of the building in the event a request for inspection of such equipment or fixture has been filed with the authority having jurisdiction not more than 72 hours after such replacement work is completed and before a portion of such plumbing system is concealed by a permanent portion of the building. 105th point, 2.1.1 Water Supply System. No water supply system or portion thereof shall be covered or concealed until it first has been tested, inspected, and approved. 105.2.1.2 Covering or using no plumbing or drainage system, building sewer, private sewer disposal system, or part thereof shall be covered, concealed, or put into use until it has been tested, inspected, and accepted as prescribed in this code. 105.2.2 Other inspections. In addition to the inspections required by this code, the authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to require other inspections to ascertain compliance with the provisions of this code and other laws that are enforced by the authority having jurisdiction. 105.2.3 Inspection Requests. It shall be the duty of the person doing the work authorized by a permit to notify the authority having jurisdiction that such work is ready for inspection. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to require that a request for inspection be filed not less than 1 working day before such inspection is desired. Such request shall be permitted to be made in writing or by telephone, at the option of the authority having jurisdiction. It shall be the duty of the person requesting inspections in accordance with this code to provide access to and means for inspection of such work. 105.2.4 Advance Notice. It shall be the duty of the person doing the work authorized by the permit to notify the authority having jurisdiction, orally or in writing, that said work is ready for inspection. Such notification shall be given not less than 24 hours before the work is to be inspected. 105.2.5 Responsibility. It shall be the duty of the holder of a permit to make sure that the work will stand the test prescribed before giving the notification. The equipment, material, and labor necessary for inspection or tests shall be furnished by the person to whom the permit is issued or by whom inspection is requested. 105.2.6 Re-inspections. A reinspection fee shall be permitted to be assessed for each inspection or reinspection where such portion of work for which inspection is called is not complete or where required corrections have not been made. This provision shall not be interpreted as requiring reinspection fees the first time a job is rejected for failure to be in accordance with the requirements of this code, but as controlling the practice of calling for inspections before the job is ready for inspection or reinspection. Reinspection fees shall be permitted to be assessed where the approved plans are not readily available to the inspector for failure to provide access on the date for which the inspection is requested, or for deviating from plans requiring the approval of the authority having jurisdiction. To obtain reinspection, the applicant shall file an application therefor in writing upon a form furnished for that purpose and pay the reinspection fee in accordance with Table 104.5. In instances where reinspection fees have been assessed, no additional inspection of the work will be performed until the required fees have been paid. 105.3 Testing of systems. Plumbing systems shall be tested and approved in accordance with this code or the authority having jurisdiction. Tests shall be conducted in the presence of the authority having jurisdiction or the authority having jurisdiction's duly appointed representative. No test or inspection shall be required where a plumbing system or part thereof is set up for exhibition purposes and has no connection with a water or drainage system. In cases where it would be impractical to provide the required water or air tests, or for minor installations and repairs, the authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to make such inspection as deemed advisable in order to be assured that the work has been performed in accordance with the intent of this code. Joints and connections in the plumbing system shall be gas-tight and watertight for the pressures required by the test. 105.3.1 Defective systems. An air test shall be used in testing the sanitary condition of the drainage or plumbing system of building premises where there is reason to believe that it has become defective. In buildings or premises condemned by the authority having jurisdiction because of an insanitary condition of the plumbing system or part thereof, the alterations in such system shall be in accordance with the requirements of this code. 105.3.2 Retesting. Where the authority having jurisdiction finds that the work will not pass the test, necessary corrections shall be made, and the work shall be resubmitted for test or inspection. 105.3.3 Approval. Where prescribed tests and inspections indicate that the work is in accordance with this code, a certificate of approval shall be issued by the authority having jurisdiction to the permittee on demand. 105.4 Connection to service utilities. No person shall make connections from a source of energy or fuel to a plumbing system or equipment regulated by this code and for which a permit is required until approved by the authority having jurisdiction. No person shall make connection from a water supply line, nor shall connect to a sewer system regulated by this code and for which a permit is required until approved by the authority having jurisdiction. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to authorize temporary connection of the plumbing equipment to the source of energy or fuel for the purpose of testing the equipment. 106.0 Violations and Penalties. 106.1 General. It shall be unlawful for a person, firm, or corporation to erect, construct, enlarge, alter, repair, move, improve, remove, convert, demolish, equip, use, or maintain plumbing or permit the same to be done in violation of this code. 106.2 Notices of correction or violation. Notices of correction or violation shall be written by the authority having jurisdiction and shall be permitted to be posted at the site of the work or mailed or delivered to the permittee or their authorized representative. Refusal, failure, or neglect to comply with such notice or order within 10 days of receipt thereof shall be considered a violation of this code and shall be subject to the penalties set forth by the governing laws of the jurisdiction. 106.3 Penalties. A person, firm, or corporation violating a provision of this code shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon conviction thereof shall be punishable by a fine, imprisonment, or both set forth by the governing laws of the jurisdiction. Each separate day or portion thereof, during which a violation of this code occurs or continues, shall be deemed to constitute a separate offense. 106.4 Stop Orders. Where work is being done contrary to the provisions of this code, the authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to order the work stopped by notice in writing, served on persons engaged in the doing or causing such work to be done, and such persons shall forthwith stop work until authorized by the authority having jurisdiction to proceed with the work. 106.5 Authority to disconnect utilities in emergencies. The authority having jurisdiction shall have the authority to disconnect a plumbing system to a building, structure, or equipment regulated by this code in case of emergency where necessary to eliminate an immediate hazard to life or property. 106.6 Authority to condemn. Where the authority having jurisdiction ascertains that a plumbing system or portion thereof, regulated by this code, has become hazardous to life, health, or property, or has become insanitary, the authority having jurisdiction shall order in writing that such plumbing either be removed or placed in a safe or sanitary condition. The order shall fix a reasonable time limit for compliance. No person shall use or maintain defective plumbing after receiving such notice. Where such plumbing system is to be disconnected, written notice shall be given. In cases of immediate danger to life or property, such disconnection shall be permitted to be made immediately without such notice. 107.0 Board of Appeals. 107.1 General. In order to hear and decide appeals of orders, decisions, or determinations made by the authority having jurisdiction relative to the application and interpretations of this code, there shall be and is hereby created a Board of Appeals, consisting of members who are qualified by experience and training to pass upon matters pertaining to plumbing design, construction, and maintenance, and the public health aspects of plumbing systems, and who are not employees of the jurisdiction. The authority having jurisdiction shall be an ex officio member, and shall act as secretary to said board, but shall have no vote upon a matter before the board. The Board of Appeals shall be appointed by the governing body, and shall hold office at its pleasure. The board shall adopt rules of procedure for conducting its business, and shall render decisions and findings in writing to the appellant with a duplicate copy to the authority having jurisdiction. 107.2. Limitations of authority. The Board of Appeals shall have no authority relative to interpretation of the administrative provisions of this code, nor shall the board be empowered to waive requirements of this code.